Hi, this is Dr. Tim Conley with the Wurzweiler School of Social Work at Yeshiva University in New York, and I'm glad that you are considering applying for our postgraduate CASAC training program. I'm going to share screen on this video a couple of times. Let's give this one a shot. And we are offering the education necessary to be eligible to apply for CASAC in New York State. This is our postgraduate CASAC training. We have one for MSWs specifically, which is a little more straightforward. But if you have a non-MSW graduate degree and are interested in moving into the addiction field, this would be the program for you. In this video, I'm going to review the application to New York State for the CASAC. It's the application packet. I'm going to go ahead and share that screen now. See how this works out. That'll be this one. So if you have a master's other than social work, the way to determine what you need for education to become a CASAC in New York is to apply to the state and have them tell you what hours you still need to fulfill. Most master's degrees include, in related fields, include a good deal of the 350 hours of CASAC training that you need, CASAC specific training that you need. And the way to find out the difference between what you've already taken and what you still need to take is to complete the application. Now, that said, and then once you have that difference, which it's called a letter of deficiency, you know, what is not there that the state is looking for. Once you have that, you know what you need to take. A good deal of that material is with us here at Wurzweiler and available online. So let's take a look at this application packet for CASAC in New York State. Before I go any further, I want to say, any advice that I give or direction that I give here is based on best knowledge, and it is not the final word. The Office of Addiction Support and Services, OASAS, actually says Office of Alcoholism Substance Abuse Services. They changed their name but kept the acronym OASAS. The Office of Addiction Supports and Services has the final word about all things related to the application. It's a fairly legalistic process because you're applying for a credential in New York State. That said, I'm going to walk through the high points for you. It can be fairly complex, but we'll try and get through this in about 15 minutes or so and have you complete your application, send it to New York State along with the fee, and have them tell you what you need for education so you can come back to us at Wurzweiler and say, here's what I need, what do you have? So that said, there'll be some scrolling. Try not to get too dizzy here. I'll try to move it right along. We can skip our purpose. The application needs to be complete. So your application will be reviewed to ensure the minimum eligibility. If you have a master's degree, that's great. That's what we're going for here. If it's incomplete, the CASAC will give you a review summary saying what is missing. Here's the minimum qualifications. You meet them, you're well above high school diploma level, et cetera. Those are minimums. There is an alcohol and drug counselor exam that's offered once you have completed the education. Prior to taking an exam for the credential, you'll have completed your training. You will get what's called a CASAC 350 educational certificate, which we issue at Wurzweiler. Let's take a look at this. Once your application has gone in, it's 5 years from the postmark date that you have to complete the application. So when you submit it, they'll tell you what you need to give them in order for it to be complete and for you to go forward. And then the clock is ticking for you to send that stuff in. Let's get down to, let's see, there's a $100 processing fee for you to submit that goes with that. You will eventually need a criminal background check. It tells you how to pay your fees. This is all pretty straightforward application stuff. Give you general application instructions here. You need to print things clearly. Anything that you send OASAS, be sure to keep a copy of yourself, especially your transcripts, any copies of, if they ask for a course syllabus or, you know, really anything you send them, they don't want to be in the position of being asked to send that back to us. So send that in. It says pretty clearly the application is active for a period of 5 years from the date of postmark. If you don't complete it, then you need to submit and start over, with a new $100. Here's the application summary checklist. You have a part A, you need your 9-digit social, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I think some of these are self-explanatory, don't require me to talk too much about. Down here, you are filling out a legal document, so it has to be your last name, first name. All of this is your legal name, address, social security number, et cetera, as you are applying for a credential with the state and eventually will be issued one. So you'll complete all of this. Professional information. Are you a licensed clinical social worker? Are you an LMSW? Certified by the National Board of Counselors. These non-social work categories here, marriage and family therapist, is of interest to us. You are the master's level professional that we would like to be able to provide the training for to get you into the ranks of addiction counselors. Certified rehab counselor, physician assistant, licensed psychologist. All of these are professional information degrees. You check off, I have a master's degree, you check off what the master's degree is in. Currently employed, so you'll go ahead and list your employment for this section, disciplinary action. Right away we're starting to take a look at that the law is for the protection of the people. One of the reasons for any credential is to ensure that consumers are getting a safe provider. So you'll put that in. Then you'll want to read this canon of, of ethical principles. Each one has to be initialed. Again, it's kind of a protection thing. You will never be able to say that I did not know that I must, like number 3, respect the integrity and protect the welfare of the person. You can't say later, I didn't understand that was part of the credential. So there's about 20 of them. Go ahead and initial each one. Then we'll report if there's what constitutes misconduct. And again, you will initial each one so that you'll never be able to say that obtaining a credential fraudulently, I didn't know I could do that, could not do that. Number 4, violating a term or condition or limitation, et cetera. So you understand all these, read them carefully because you'll, be assumed, it'll be assumed that you know them. There's other prohibited acts, you'll sign that and we'll be all the way through page 8 of 22. The application, let's see, code of conduct for custodians of people with special needs. It's important that you read this, the framework providing 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there's 5 of them. Relationships, complete that. There's more than that, people with special needs. Dr. Conley just failed the test. How many of them are there? There's 10. So you will again sign that you acknowledge for custodians of people with special needs that you pledge to prevent abuse, neglect, or harm towards any person with special needs consistent with agency policy, et cetera, et cetera. Sign off on this so that you are pretty much testifying that you've read that. Okay, moving along. Evaluation of competency and ethical conduct. You'll have 3 individuals complete an evaluation of competency and ethical conduct for you. Evals are submitted on part B. They would have direct knowledge of your work experience. This is if you are submitting work experience for approval. You may not be, so this would not be relevant for you. It says who your evaluators must be, what role they're playing, et cetera, et cetera. There are other professionals who may be signing off on your work. This is their definitions of qualified health professional is in here. Eventually, most often post-education, sometimes during your education, you will be practicing in the field of addictions in either an OASAS licensed clinic or other clinic licensed by, say, mental health or Veterans Affairs, et cetera. You'll be practicing and you'll be keeping track of your hours. These are people who may supervise you for that. Those are the instructions. You complete a release of information for your supervisor to submit an evaluation of your competency. This is the ethical conduct checklist that you want to take a look at. This is your evaluation of competency and ethical conduct that a supervisor will fill out. Again, this is if you are submitting for practice hours that you have been supervised for those hours. That's not necessary. You may want to get your education before you move into providing addiction services and getting supervised for that. And here is what your evaluator would be completing if you're putting in for hours, whether or not they can endorse you or not endorse you, etc. You may have work experience approved towards the hours that you will need, because in addition to 350 hours of training, again, asterisk, much of which you may have already completed as part of your master's degree. But in addition to the 350 hours of training that you need to be a CASAC, you'll need 2,000 hours of supervised practice. You may try to put in some approved work experience if you've been in the field working with your, say, mental health counselor or marriage and family therapy counselor. If you've been doing supervised practice, you can put that in and document hours according to the next several pages. Here are the academic degrees. Substitution of a degree. This is important to us. Substitution of a degree supported by your academic transcript may count towards, this has a 6,000 hour work experience. For a master's degree, you will get 4,000. See this here? I'm going to hover the hand over that for a minute. With your master's degree, you will substitute one of these master's degrees for 4,000 hours of work experience. Those are all the human service fields. Anyone with one of these degrees may then submit your transcript along with the proof of the degree, submit it with this application to OASAS, ask for the substitution of 4,000 hours of work experience, have them review your degree, your transcripts, and tell you what you still need for education. Okay, good. That was a real important point. Let's see, there's a mandated reporter here. That's actually covered in the ethics course. You'll have a certificate as a mandated reporter. Most people with a master's in the human service field are anyway. Verifying your work experience if you are putting in work experience towards your hours. Here's a work experience verification record if you are putting in work experience towards your hours. And it will show that you need certain hours in certain categories. All of these need to be documented and signed off on by your evaluator, who 5 pages ago you would have given consent to complete an evaluation form for putting in your hours of supervised practice hours. This is a work experience verification record form. A good deal, I just have to back off to a few thousand feet more off the ground and say a good deal of the application is geared towards verifying supervised work hours. You may not be doing that. You may simply be putting in your transcript and your master's degree and saying, what do I need for educational hours in order to get my 350 certificate? Which hours have I taken already that count towards that 350? You may have worked in the field and want to put in your work experience and say, I've been getting supervised in the field. That's what a good deal of this application is about. But I just want to be clear that that may not be applicable to your current situation. If it is, follow the directions in the application. Here's the education and training piece. This is what we're offering at Wurzweiler, is the education and training necessary to become a CASAC. There's a 350-hour certificate program. That's the direction we're going to move you towards. Ensure that all applicants have adequate exposure to SUD. This is where your substance use disorder competencies. You will submit your academic transcript, and it should contain coursework. Now, there's 4 sections to the application, and this is a little small, but well, it fleshes it out down below. But notice this, please. Section 1, 85 clock hours, 150 here, 70, and 45 here. Currently, what Wurzweiler is offering is Section 1, 85 clock hours. See Section 1 here, knowledge of alcoholism, substance abuse, 85 clock hours. We are currently offering that. We're also offering Section 4. We'll show you in a second. That is the ethics. So take a look at this. All of this is covered in the training. All of this section 1 is covered in the training that we have. We're not currently offering section 2. Many of the counseling hours may already have been clocked because of your master's degree in a human service field. Say you're a marriage and family counselor, you probably have had 150 hours worth of counseling experience. You may well have had 70 hours of clinical evaluation, treatment planning, case management. Many degrees include section 2 and 3. Many master's degrees include section 2 and 3. That's why Wurzweiler is focusing on sections 1 and 4, which is here. Section 4 is the professional and ethical responsibilities specific to addiction professionals. Again, if you've had an ethics course already as part of your master's degree, put it in. See if OASAS will accept a certain number of ethics hours. You may only need the 15. We offer that. That's one of the post-master's training modules that we have, includes just those hours, 15 hours of addictions ethics. But you need to have OASAS tell you what you need by completing this application and submitting it. Oh my goodness, we're almost at the bottom. Page 21 of 2, and here's your education and training. You will be working towards your certificate, your 350 certificate, and OASAS is very serious about the protection of vulnerable individuals, people with special needs, children, elderly individuals, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to stop the share on this and finish up. So that said, for individuals who hold a master's degree other than one in social work has got a different deal going on. But at any rate, if you're holding a different master's degree, you are interested, I hope so, in moving into the field of professional field of addiction counseling. Complete this CASAC application, submit it to OASAS, get a letter of deficiency, and then talk to us at Wurzweiler about what you need to complete your education. We have all the education necessary for section 1 and section 4 of the app currently. We're working on section 2 and 3. They're bigger hill to climb, but that's going to be there for those who need it. The work experience, as I've said throughout this brief presentation, if you have it, put it in, give it a shot. If not, it's something that you'll get to when you, within that 5-year window, complete your application. You'll put in all the necessary supervised hours. Any questions, please use the contact information, reach out to myself, Dr. Tim Conley at Wurzweiler, and ask any questions, send an email, etc. We'll be glad to advise you to the degree that we can. Real super specific application questions are going to go. You'll be, oh, by the way, OASAS will assign you one person who will keep track of your application. It'll be like a case, so that if you call in with a question 3 months later, somebody won't have to pull your file and say, what's going on? Which piece were you missing? It will be the same person managing your application till it's complete. That said, best of luck with this, and I hope I have the opportunity to work with you on earning your CASAC.